Okay, I'm trying to settle myself down here. I'm getting a lot of heat from a lot of people. I understand people are dying. I understand that there's a lot of scared people out there. So if your family's been affected by this COVID-19, I'm sorry for your loss. But what I need you to understand is, and I'll show you here. Here. Why doesn't the mainstream media and the government tell everybody about this? This is an actual memo that has gone out to hospitals across the world. And read. This email is to alert you that a newly introduced ICD code has been implemented to accurately capture mortality data for coronavirus 2019 COVID-19 on death certificates. What's the new code? U07.1, and below is how it will appear in formal tabular list format. This U07.1 COVID-19 excludes coronavirus infection and severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. The World Health Organization has provided a second code, U07.2, for clinical or epidemiological diagnosis of COVID-19 where laboratory confirmation is inconclusive or not available because laboratory test results are not typically reported on death certificates in the US. The NCHS is not planning to implement U07.2 for mortality statistics. When will it be implemented? Immediately. Will COVID-19 be the underlying cause? The underlying cause depends upon what and where conditions are reported on the death certificate. However, the rules for coding and selection of the underlying cause of death are expected to result in COVID-19 being the underlying cause more often than not. Oh, do you see the problem here? What happens if the terms reported on the death certificate indicate uncertainty? If the death certificate reports terms such as probable COVID-19 or likely COVID-19, these terms would be assigned to the new ICD code. It is not likely that NCHS will follow up on these cases. If pending COVID-19 testing is reported on the death certificate, this would be considered a pending record. In this scenario, NCHS would expect to receive an updated record since the code will likely result in R99. In this case, NCHS will ask the states to follow up to verify the test confirm that the decedent had COVID-19. Should COVID-19 be reported on the death certificate only with a confirmed test? COVID-19 should be reported on the death certificate for all decedents where the disease caused or is assumed to have caused or contributed to death. Certifiers should include as much detail as possible based on their knowledge of the case, medical records, laboratory testing, etc. If the decedent had other chronic conditions such as COPD or asthma that may have also contributed, these conditions can be reported in Part 2. So, I'm sorry if you've lost somebody to said coronavirus, but you really should consider the other factors that go along with the death of your family member or friend, because this goes into deeper aspects of the testing that's being done, the way the PCR tests work, and in a nutshell, it's junk. The tests are junk. A PCR test is an amplification of the swab they take to try really hard to get it to show something. So when you're looking at even the map here of any country, and they show you these numbers, and you have total cases and confirmed, so this is laughable. Total cases, and then when you go to confirmed, do you see what's happening here? What's that a difference of? 20 and a bit. So we'll work with confirmed cases here, and we'll just work with Ontario. So keep in mind as well, they're not really recording any flu deaths this year. After this is all over, you'll never get an accurate assessment of what was really a COVID, because you can't even get anything for influenza right now. It's a mess. It's a mess. And again, I'm not denying the fact that people are dying. I'm not denying the fact that they're testing people and coming up with numbers. I'm just saying that there's something very wrong with what's happening right now, and they're blowing it out of proportion, and people are very frightened. People are getting very upset at people like myself and the 100+ people that were protesting in Toronto. And I'm trying to show some compassion here, but I'm also trying to wake you up, because it's wrong what's happening. This is medical malpractice, and if there's doctors and nurses that aren't speaking up about this or can't see it, then you're towing the line too. The media, the governments are towing the line. They're just doing their job, I know, but this is a worldwide lockdown, and if you look at what's happening in other countries, it's not right. Not right. I mean, this doesn't warrant shutting down the world. It doesn't warrant it. If they shut down the world for these kinds of numbers, then they should be shutting down the world every year for the flu. Never mind all the other problems, all the other deaths and sicknesses that far outnumber the flu and this alleged COVID. There's a bigger agenda at play here, and this is why we're protesting this, because the laws and the fallout that's going to come from this are going to be far worse than what this so-called virus is doing right now in real time. They're shutting down food supply lines. They're keeping people at home, keeping people in fear, and it looks like it's just going to keep going, because too many of the people out there are trusting their government, trusting their television, and it's being allowed to continue just out of the fear-based mind control that the public in general is being subjected to, and it's all wrong. All you need to do is go online and look at the numbers, and then try and find the history and the past numbers for just influenza, a normal flu season, and you'll find that this is pretty much right there. Maybe a little worse, maybe a little less worse, depending on where you are. And I can't show you all of this stuff in one video. You need to go and look this stuff up for yourself. So here we are, confirmed cases. So let's have a little look-see here at the numbers. Okay. So again, I'm trying to be compassionate. I know this is a very touchy subject. I've been at the protest. I've seen the people that are very upset at us. I'll play the video of what the news is saying about us, and just they're not telling you this. They're trying to blow this up and make it look like it's a pandemic, but this does not qualify for an epidemic, let alone a pandemic. And it doesn't. The numbers aren't there. This is just, like I said, this is just like any other flu season, and they're just blowing this way out of proportion. So what do we have? We got 14,432. Okay, 14,432 divided by the population of Ontario, which is, you can look it up on your own. I'm not going to jump to another tab here. 14,570,000. 1, 2, 3. That equates to that, and then bring it up to a percentage. So we got 0.1. We finally reached 0.1%. We're still a little less than it, but we're finally there. Okay, so that's 0.1 confirmed cases. Okay, just going by their numbers. Okay, and I know it's just the end of April, and yeah, these numbers are just going to keep going up because they have to make this look like it's something, because it's really starting to look like nothing. So that's the confirmed cases. So let's have a look at, let's go look at deaths, and that's just done in Ontario. And we have a large population in Ontario compared to other provinces, but let's look at the deaths. So we have 835. And do I really need to show it? Yeah, I do, because it's really ridiculous. 835, right? Divided by 14,570,000, right? 14,570,000. Okay, and times that way. So 0.006% of the population have died from this alleged COVID-19. It doesn't really warrant it. In my opinion, I don't think that this is cause to shut the province down. I don't think I should be not working right now because the jobs I was working on are shut down because they're saying that there's a risk, a public health risk. And this is just scratching the surface of the nonsense, because I'm just going to challenge the whole thing right here, okay? Because in my research, I can't find any evidence for any of this right from the base of the medical system itself. And these are borrowed questions from a book. And the book is a well-researched book, and basically this is 3 questions to challenge the medical establishment. And number 1, is there, this is the question, okay? I'm going to read the questions here. Is there an electron micrograph of the pure and fully characterized virus? I can't find one. I get cartoons. What is the name of the primary specialist peer-reviewed paper in which the virus is illustrated and its full genetic information described? I haven't seen one. I don't know of one that exists. There's many medical journals you can look at, and I haven't seen anything that is 100% confirmed that this paper exists. Number 3 is, what is the name of the primary publication that provides proof that a particular virus is the sole cause of a particular disease? In other words, the question to me is asking for proof that virus is even the cause of anything? Meaning, can a virus be caught? Can it be transmitted through the air? Can it be transmitted from a surface of something by touching it? I haven't found anything that says anything to that effect, and that one's a little hard for people to grasp because the whole medical system that we're in right now is based off of that, and that is known as germ theory. And that's a whole other area of research that you should look into with the time you have, and that will really open your eyes up to how corrupt the whole medical system is, the vaccine industry, the pharma industry. It all falls apart with that topic alone when you realize that contagion is not what we've been told it is, and that it looks like to me viruses are just part of us. The reason we get sick is because we live in a toxic world and we're not taught how to keep ourselves healthy. Doctors don't even get taught about nutrition. If they do, it's a very, very small part of their whole indoctrination when they go to their medical schools. The whole thing is corrupt from top down, and now they're trying to force all this corruption onto us and force us into these medicines, these vaccinations are down the pipeline. They're coming unless we stand up for our rights and say no to all of it. People need to educate themselves, and these numbers are what we've been given to work with right now. And early March is when they declared this as a pandemic, and it's not panned out to look anywhere near that, and here we are, and they're still calling for these measures, and it's not right. To make things worse, you've got the media is just parading along with the government and telling us these nonsensical, fear-mongering, baseless stuff. I've just shown you the numbers. They're talking about these numbers like they're horrible and terrible, but they could do this every year with the flu and create this fear. They're telling us it's a deadly contagious virus. Where is this deadly contagious virus? If there was deadly contagious viruses that could be caught in the air by us, then there shouldn't be anybody walking around on the earth right now. I don't understand how people are just so lacking in critical thinking to just sit back and take what these people are telling them. Here, I'll play this. Listen to how they paint us for questioning this.
I just want to talk about what's happening in Toronto today, because people did take to the streets demanding an end to restrictions meant to curb the COVID-19 infection rate.
The virus is a smokescreen. It's a hoax.
Now, this rally took place in front of the provincial legislature. Similar protests have popped up in other Canadian and American cities recently. They have drawn individuals concerned about the economic impact of restricting commerce. The Ontario Premier, Doug Ford, is not impressed with the protest.
You see these people that are absolutely irresponsible. It's reckless to do what they're doing. And personally, I think it's selfish. We have healthcare workers down the street at these hospitals working around the clock to protect the community. 99.9% of the people in this province are working together, side by side. That's the reason we were able to see a flattening of the curve. But then we have, a bunch of yahoos out in the front of Queen's Park sitting there protesting that the place isn't open, as they're breaking the law and putting everyone in jeopardy, putting themselves in jeopardy, putting the workers in jeopardy, and God forbid one of them end up in the hospital down the street. You know, we're better than this. We're better than this as a people, as a province.
So that's what you get from these government officials and media that just propagates the lies. It's very sad to me that nobody can see this, and they're not. It's very sad. Do I need to play this one? You can go watch this one yourself. I'm not going to play it. It's getting so sad listening to these guys. CP24. Yeah, what else can I say? I mean, the numbers are there for anybody to go look at. The memos, the letters, there's doctors and nurses speaking out about this. It doesn't make any sense. It's wrong. It's all wrong. I'm gonna save this. So that's all I got. If you made it to the end of the video, you know, just spread this information around and show people this thing here. This is real. They're coding the deaths as COVID, and they're not even having to properly diagnose the death as that. The PCR tests, there's lots of information out on how those tests work. People need to be aware of just the numbers they're giving us. I mean, in Ontario, 0.006 deaths have come from this COVID. It's just mind-boggling. These are the numbers. They should do this every year, and I think in 2 or 3 years' time, you'd show people this stuff, and it's like, really? It's like, come on, people. Come on. Like, this is beyond silly now. Come down to Queen's Park. Don't listen to what they're telling you in the newspaper. Don't listen to what the government is telling you. They're trying to scare you from standing up for your fundamental freedoms. We need to show ourselves, and we need to make people aware of these statistics. We're being lied to. Being lied to worse than ever. So get out and get active. Spread this information around. This has to stop. Think of the future of your children and grandchildren here. This has to stop. We'll see you later. I'm going to be there next Saturday. And speak up. Let's go.